So this is a very volume-dominated approach because value is subjective. So that was going to be my next question in respect to like, there is a nature to social media where you have to do a level of volume, especially at the start, to be able to gain enough data to understand what works and what people resonate with and what people really enjoy. But, personally, just for the audience's sake and maybe your case as well, I've been very fortunate where my new marketing strategy of saying yes and, so this is a very volume dominated approach because value is subjective, so I always try to add value in content, of course, but for me I've been very focused on daily output as the metric and then overall arching numbers in regards to views, watch times, growth, etc. for that window of time across a month, for example. And I think I'll put on the screen if I get it wrong, but I think it's around 200k at the moment per month that we're hitting across 5 platforms. Of course, that will change by the time this comes out, but at the time of recording, it's around there. And I think when I talk about those big numbers, I think people find them very intimidating, and they can find that maybe it is because of like the volume, or it's because like I'm very seasoned in knowing how to create content in volume, but also high value. What advice would you give to someone who's maybe looking at that approach, firstly, would you agree with that approach, number one? Number two, what advice would you give to someone who is maybe looking at what I'm doing and seeing success in, and maybe wants to emulate it as a whole from a volume perspective, from a distribution perspective, and I guess in some ways, how do we check in with, is that in line with making our boat go faster, but also are we overwhelming ourselves as a creator?
Yeah, sure. I think at the end of the day, like you said, volume is important.